Now, one of the cool things that I really gravitated to was you got your political feet wet at a really young age. What really moved? Was it a family member? Was it what was going on in local politics and stuff? But what gravitated you to politics at such a young age?
I definitely feel like politics is something, your parents kind of grab you by the hand and just take you to, kind of like learn firsthand, and then as you kind of grow older and realize and study politics and civics and government, you realize that it really is, democracy is the role of the people. Just always had an affinity moving across the country, have a respect for history and culture and meeting new people, and you realize how important a role that government and politics plays, and that even down here in Southwest Florida, I didn't come down here to get involved in politics, but really saw that, making sure that the quality of our waterways, especially the quality of the water out on the beaches, traffic congestion, so many different things, sustainable development, they're all controlled by local government. As you experience yourself, that this was more of a retirement community, but as the years have passed, more and more young people like myself are here, and we're asking questions and thinking about what do we want this community to be like, when we are ready to retire. And the only ways to enact that change as quickly as possible is to get people elected that also have the same vision for this area.
You're sitting there saying, hey, I'm looking 20, 30 years in the future of what, if we make these changes now and everything, and we have these officials, it's not the guys that are in Washington and the guys and gals in Washington that are making the effect on the local level, it's the actual local politicians and stuff. And it's not about left or right, it's just how do we make a better community for ourselves, whether it's through business, through politics, so on and so forth. Because it seems that people are gravitating more towards politics this day and stuff. And so what do you think the difference is today, and why we have the younger generation that is, it's pulling more towards that?
People are just starting to wake up and realize, what a city council is, what a county commission is, what state representatives do, and realize that a lot of the issues we're facing now, what seems to be on an almost daily basis, if you don't have somebody representing you at those levels that thinks and feels the same way, or at least listens to you, then you've got a serious problem. And I think that's why younger people are starting to realize that, if they don't start to speak up or support people that are going to pass legislation, or at least, hear them when they have issues, you're going to run into a serious problem. So I feel like that's why younger people are getting more involved, is to have their voice heard, because they don't feel like their voice is being heard, or at least spoken up at the top levels of government.
I know that you have age constraints in certain political arenas and everything, but do you think we'll start seeing a younger generation start running for those offices?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's already started to happen. Of course, sometimes it doesn't always get covered, but I really do believe that even the 16-year-olds who are being activists and doing rallies and marches and all that stuff, they can't wait for that day where they can vote. But there's a lot of people between 16 up to 35 that are starting to run for office and asking questions. The only difficulty you run into is, well, you need money to run for office, but I think people are finding their avenues to get involved one way or another.
I think the point of entry might actually end up being a little bit easier.
Possibly. If you could figure that out, please let us know, because unfortunately it seems like, social media started out as a harmless thing that, it's just a way of getting your, messaging with your friends, sharing your photos, but now it seems like some of my friends that are more kind of in tune with it tell me that Facebook and some of these multimedia platforms, social media specifically, are all about making money. So unless you have the money to put money into your content, it's only going to go so far. But it's a great way to start. It's easier than just knocking on every single door in your neighborhood.